Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, wherever you are tuning in from. This is BS Buddies Podcast. I'm your host, Joe. That's your host, Ian. And today we're going to do more Reddit stuff with Am I the A-Hole? And if you're not familiar, it's basically Reddit online forum, and then people will post stuff where they think they might have been in the wrong, maybe not. But Ian and I will get to decide that today. We're going to do 3 this time and go from there. Ian, how are you doing?
I am, well, as I told you earlier, I just woke up from a nap. So I'm feeling it in my knees, weirdly enough, feeling like an old man right now, like just trying to walk down the stairs. I heard a bunch of creaking and I was like, wow, I don't remember the boards creaking that much. And then I went, oh, it's my knees doing all the creaking. It's like those TikToks you see of people, they're taking the steps with the creaking noise in the background, and they think it's like the cart they're pushing or something, and then they bend their knees and they realize, oh, that's my knees making the noise. So feels
Man,
great, feels wonderful.
28 hit you hard.
It really did. It just slapped me across the face, pulled my underwear up and around, pushed me over, said, move out of the way, life's coming. And now here we are, rusty hinges in my knees, full replacement needed. I'm gonna start a GoFundMe.
Uh, Subscribe to help fund Ian's GoFundMe.
It'll just take like 30 years to get there, but I promise it's going to happen.
With that, we're gonna go with that. We're gonna go to our first one, which is Am I the a-hole for embarrassing my husband's coworker for embarrassing me and my husband? Some good old
I'm,
revenge. So I
I'm gonna
figured.
I'm gonna preemptively, before we even know anything, I'm gonna say no, just because I'm a fan of good old fashioned revenge stories. Who doesn't love a nice revenge arc? You know what I mean? Like, hey, they struck first, prepared to be strucken back. If you can't dish it out, don't stand in the garden, or whatever that old saying is. I don't know. I don't pay attention to words. So I'm gonna
This
just preemptively say no, and we'll see if I turn out to be the a-hole for saying no.
This is the third one we've done of these, and I don't think we've ran into a single ale, honestly. So I'm hoping we can break the streak. A few months ago, after many years of trying to conceive, my husband, 32, and I, 33, had a gorgeous, healthy baby boy. My husband and I are black, which is pertinent to this story. Oh boy, that was the first
That's how
sentence.
That's a banger of a hook. Boy, I am drawn right in. I need to know now.
Right after I delivered, my husband emailed a birth announcement with a photo of our son to everyone in his office. Fast forward a couple of weeks, and my husband came home fuming after his first day back at work. One of his coworkers informed him that another guy in the office, a new young employee, had been telling everyone willing to listen that my husband couldn't be our son's father because, quote, that baby is too light to be his and its hair is too long and straight. That's a white man's baby or an Asian's, end quote. This guy proceeded to tell everyone what a sucker my husband was and that his excitement over finally becoming a dad was blinding him to the reality that he had been cheated on and his wife was with another man. Side note for anyone who's still unaware, in 2025, black babies in
Easy to know.
black babies in general are fairly pale as newborns, and they will darken over the first few weeks. Yada yada yada. My husband said he had immediately confronted and questioned the guy, who completely denied saying anything inappropriate and claimed he only said, as a joke, the baby was too cute to be my husband's. But others in the office confirmed the first coworker's account. Not only that, the guy tried to parlay his superior perception skills into some weird form of workplace clout. Fortunately, the guy got moved to a different shift that same week, so my husband didn't have to see him again. That is, until a company event this past weekend. Families were invited, and we took our son. And who should come and insert himself into our group as we were chatting with the boss but Brown Noser McMouth?
That's a great nickname. I love that.
He interrupted our conversation and introduced himself to the boss, shaking his hand. When I realized who he was, my anger came flooding back, and I said, quote, I don't believe we've met, but aren't you the guy who went around telling everyone in the office I must have cheated on my husband with a white or Asian man and this couldn't be his son? End quote. The guy went red and silent. Boss said to him, quote, see me in my office first thing Monday, end quote, and walked away. I think someone's fired. My husband said I went too far because it was already over and done with. I said it wasn't done for me until I'd had my say, and I was the one being defamed, not him.
Boy, I'm really glad I said no. I'm really, really glad that I said no at the beginning of this before I knew anything. And
Jeez,
yeah,
that's a banger of a first story, though.
wow. God, I almost feel like maybe we should have glanced through some of these, Joe, because at this point we've peaked. We can't get anything like better than this story for like a launch. That
By
it's all downhill after this
This is
one.
by Common Grounder. And oh my goodness, you are a great storyteller, I just want to say.
Yeah, wow,
Um,
that was very well written. Like all the pertinent information, little bit of filler as needed. We got the whole picture right in one.
so I'm torn. I'm always on the fence for stuff like this cuz for me, I don't think revenge I don't like revenge. I'm not like Ian. I don't like revenge. I don't think revenge is good. But I had to try and insert myself into that situation and like if I heard someone saying that about my newborn, I'd probably be very upset too. And picturing my fiance in that situation, she would definitely say that exact thing to that exact person. And
In that
yeah,
moment.
yeah,
100% drop that bomb in front of the boss. I mean, I gotta say, I'm gonna I'm gonna go with not the a-hole on this one because I mean, honestly, I'm a big fan of petty revenge, especially in this form. And here's the thing for me, right? Like, it'd be one thing if it was, and I gotta say, big props to the husband here for willing to just let it roll off his back and just be like, no,
yeah,
it's
no
whatever,
kidding.
it's over and done with. Like, but the kudos to him for being able to just let that slide and roll right past. However, I 100% understand where the wife is coming from in this story. It'd be one thing if maybe it was like one of the husband's really, really good friends and he was doing a play on what's that old skit? I think it's with Cat Williams. I think it is where Cat Williams he's playing the black man who's in jail and his wife comes to visit him and she's holding the baby and the baby's a white baby and she's like, no, this is your son, and he's like, no, just because you say he's my son don't mean he's my son. That one, yes, but that baby is white. He is Caucasian from the mountains of Caucasus. Like, that was a funny skit, and maybe if it was like one of the husband's really good friends who was making a reference to that joke, all right, sure, guys will be guys in that regard. But the fact that it's some new employee around the office and you're just gonna go running off at the mouth with a joke like that that's in poor taste, and then not only that, but you're gonna backtrack on it when you get confronted about it. You know what I mean? I think that's what they call Schrodinger's douchebag, where you say a joke that's kind of off color, and then
Off
you
color.
base yeah, no pun intended, no pun intended. You you base everyone's reaction off whether or not you were just kidding. You know what I mean? And in this case,
Yeah.
once he realized that, oh no, people didn't like my joke. Oh no 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 no! I was just kidding, man. I was just saying that the baby was too cute to be yours. No, bro, you were saying some things that you should not have been, and now you got caught, and now you got to backpedal. And granted, it's the husband's work, but when you're at a work meeting like that, and especially from the wife's perspective, she finally gets to meet the guy and say something about it. Yeah, I'd 100%, I'd 100% take the wife's side on this. And I don't know if the dude is going to be fired over it. I mean, by all accounts, he probably could be for it. That's definitely up there on the ladder of things not to say in a workplace environment. But I mean, at the very least, he's going to get a severe disciplining. And so, like I said, kudos to to the husband for being able to let it roll right off his back. But I agree with the stance the wife took. You know, she wanted to get her shot in too, and especially when you've got multiple coworkers who can corroborate that story and be like, yeah, this is what he was saying. Yeah, I think, there's a good chance that something's going to happen to him. So I agree. Not the a hole. 100% not the a hole here.
For me, if it was a coworkers that I know, because I definitely have some that would just make the joke regardless on if that's what they actually thought or not. I know some people who would just straight up like say something like that, and I would definitely take offense, but like considering I've worked with them for a while and I'm saying this now, it's like yeah, I wouldn't appreciate it, and I'd probably say like, "Hey, that's a little too far." But if it was someone brand new that I don't know, and they said that, yeah, I'm not one for confrontation, but that's one where I'd probably pull the person off to the side and be like, "Hey, like, don't ever say that again.
Yeah.
You don't know
No.
me, and." Like, especially if it's someone young who probably doesn't have their own, I would assume, because
Yeah, no.
every every father that I know would probably not say that at all unless it's like a good buddy who's either making a joke or it's like, hey, like just like I honestly want to
Yeah.
know, and
That's it's
yeah,
it's one of those things that like you have to be really, really good friends with someone and like you have to like really know each other well to sort of make any kind of comments like that. And even then, that's got to be in the privacy of like, hey, good buddy, I'm just giving you some ribbon and congratulations. And, like it's got to be something personal. You don't come in as somebody new to the office and start making comments like that. No, not at all. So
I,
that's 100% good on the wife for humbling, maybe he'll think twice about saying some stuff that he should not have. You know what I mean?
uh, for me, I'll say yes, she was, but it wasn't unwarranted.
Justified.
Like, do not poke Mama Bear,
Oh no, not at
especially a
all.
brand new Mama
Never.
Bear. Don't do that.
No. And
Like,
and in
if
all honesty,
if
yeah,
the
you never and
husband, like the husband's going to hear this and he's going to bring it up to Mama Bear. If you by chance see Mama Bear after that, like you're gonna you're gonna have to hibernate yourself.
kick the hornet's nest, complain when you get stung.
So I don't think this is going to be anywhere near that story, but I just want to see where this goes. By Plastic Cat 9560. My my husband got me a vacuum for my 50th. Title says it all. Turned 50 yesterday. Husband, 53, woke me up, told me he had a surprise for me downstairs. I go downstairs and see a vacuum. Not even wrapped, mind you. He said he thought I'd like a new one since the current one doesn't have the ability to turn off the brush roller when using on hard floors. I never asked for a new one. It works fine. That was my birthday. Not even a lunch or dinner out. He mentioned a month ago about doing something special and going on a trip. I asked about that and he said he figured I'd tell him when and where I wanted to go. Women will not do that. He never asked where, but did mention several times over the past month he had a surprise for me. Apparently, it was an effing vacuum. We've been married 17 years. Am I the a-hole for hoping or expecting that maybe he could have planned and surprised me with something? Anything, something more than an Amazon next day delivery vacuum? When he turned 50, I took him to Hawaii. Maybe I'm just being hypersensitive. Turning 50 has been a hard number for me. Parents and grandparents all passed in that decade. Uh, there's two edits, and she's like thanking people who, um, what? And to the mean trolls saying to get a life, no one cares, don't be a gold digger, or it's the thought that counts. I wish you nothing but success and prosperity in life.
In life.
Ed, edit 2. It's a Eureka Power Speed canister vacuum.
I appreciate the second edit saying what kind of vacuum it is. Like there's some people out there going, well, I don't know, like what kind of vacuum did he get you? Um,
While you digest this, I'm going to look up how much this vacuum
and
is.
and see what it is. Oh God, this is a tough one. This is a tough one because like I can see both sides of the story, and so it's very difficult to like definitively pick a one or the other. Like
If
looking at
this
this.
if this helps, I'm seeing the ones I'm seeing are no more than 100 and like $30. Like all the ones I'm seeing are less than that.
Okay,
For
okay, so
context,
it's a it's a on the I don't know if technically on the cheaper
it's
end for
cheaper.
vacuums. I
I
mean,
would
yeah, most vacuums start at like what, like probably like
I,
50, 60
I
bucks
would
and go up from
I
there.
would say it's like low getting into like medium price range.
Okay.
Cuz
Okay.
Debbie has a $500 vacuum that she bought years ago, so that's what I kind of compare it to.
God, this one, like, okay, so from the perspective of like a man, I get where the dude was coming from with this because obviously he says, he mentioned that he wanted to go on a trip or do something special, blah, 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 blah. So he kind of set the precedent that maybe that's what he was thinking. But the problem is that men, we are very practical creatures. We see simple efficiencies and we're like, wow, that's genius. I would love to do like a new vacuum. It's got an ability to turn off the rollers when you're on the hardwood floors or whatever the blah 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 that it's talking about here. It's like, oh, that'd be perfect. It's a better vacuum. It works more. That'd be a great gift. But then again, he also set the precedent with going on a trip somewhere, and I'm guessing from this guy's perspective is he was thinking of like, ooh, I could plan a trip, but I don't want to pick somewhere that she doesn't want to go. And I don't want to bring her somewhere that she's not gonna like it. I'll just wait until she tells me where she wants to go, which is kind of like this is one of those problems that I feel like could have definitely been avoided if there was
Yeah,
just clear
yep, yep.
communication on both parts, you know what I mean? Like you've been married for 17 years. You've been through a lot of ups and downs. You obviously know each other very well by this point. You should I feel like this is a two-way street. I feel like they're kind of in a shared holding of the a-holishness, if that makes sense. Which sounds kind of rude, but like on one hand, the guy should have just been like, hey, if you would like to go on a trip, where would you like to go? What would you want to do? Figure out a way to ask that. And on the other hand, if she really wanted to go on a trip and he mentioned something, I feel like she should have been like, oh, a trip? Yeah, that'd be fun. I would like to go here and do this. Like, just be direct in what you want and take the guessing game all out of it. And so, on one hand, while I don't necessarily fault her for being disappointed in the vacuum, I would also keep in mind that, like, he's a man. He saw the vacuum and he was like, "Wow, I would love to get something like this. I bet my wife would love to get something like this." And that's what he went out and did because that's how we operate. That's how we're hardwired. We're like, "Ooh, I would like that. Surely she would like that." So it's like it really depends on how you look at this story. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I've definitely been in situations similar to this. Obviously, not 50th birthday and stuff like that, but like in the past, like, hey, what would you want to do for this? And you just kind of throw out vague ideas, and like I've even like said like, okay, yeah, that sounds awesome, and don't follow through. Because to me, I need a lot of like, I need more structure. It's like, hey, what do you want to do? When do you want to do it? And let's figure this out together. Yeah, I think buying a vacuum when she hasn't asked for one is kind of not a smart thing. But yeah, like Ian said, it's definitely like a thought of like, oh, maybe I heard her complaining about the vacuum one time and this is on sale and maybe she'll really enjoy it. But
Feel like
yeah,
this is one where we need context for both sides. Like I need to hear like, okay, what was the husband thinking? And obviously, we don't know what their financial situation is. Maybe a trip was an expensive prospect that they didn't exactly have, the money for, or maybe he was saving up for something. It's one of those things that I feel like I need a little bit more context of the story to really definitively say one way or the other. But I feel like, once this is one of those situations, I can't really say a-hole, but I can't really say not a-hole. Like, it's not her fault that she's disappointed with the gift. But then again, it's like I feel like you should both be at the point where the direct communication is there. You know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah, I don't think this one is conclusive. I think there just needs to be better communication and go from there.
That one is, ooh,
Sh-
that one's a
These
toughie. I think
there's
that's the closest one we've got to towing the line of being a-hole without definitively being able to say yes or no.
there are so many where it's like just awful. Jeez.
I
This one.
do see a I do see a lot of like the comments of like, I'm so sorry, do you need bail money? And a lot of people are just shitting all over the husband for making a dumb decision, but I don't
The
know. It's just difficult because men and women were inherently wired differently, and it's like, why would the husband set up the precedent of going on a trip if that's wasn't what he was going to do? But like I said, on the other hand, maybe his thought process was, oh, if she'd like to go on a trip, she'll tell me where she wants to go, and in the meantime, here's a nice vacuum. Like
yeah.
it's hmm.
We'll do one more. The other ones are like super sad and involve like past people or like transplants, like life saving transplants. This one seems okay enough. Um, am I the a hole for leaving my wife at a restaurant after she insulted me? My wife, 31 female, and I, 30 female. She put at the bottom, a lot of people were saying that she was a male, but they're lesbians. I like how she even put 31F and 30F, and people still couldn't figure that out. But I appreciate the edit. Uh, they were at a restaurant to celebrate a big milestone in my career. I was talking about my career in voice acting, which I absolutely love, before she decided to insult me by saying, "You should be a mime instead so no one has to hear you talking anymore." My wife always makes a lot of jokes like these, basically insulting me, which I usually don't pay too much attention to. This joke in particular really hurt me because I used to be very self conscious about my voice due to being bullied for years about the way I used to speak, so this hit me really hard. She also knows this was a hard point in my life and it was very hard to get past it. After she said this, I just said, "Are you serious?" before standing up abruptly and walking away. I didn't tell her where I was going, but I drove to my studio and have been here for the past few hours. She has been blowing up my phone with calls and messages about leaving her at the restaurant to pay the bill. It was an expensive restaurant, and I usually pay for our outings as I make more money. And for leaving her stranded as I took the car when I left. I'm not sure if I'm overreacting, as my wife always says that this is just her sense of humor, and I need to stop being a snowflake, but she is blowing up my phone, calling me immature for leaving over a joke. Am I the a hole for leaving her at the restaurant?
Mm. Ooh.
So you've taken the reins on the past couple ones. I'll take the reins on this one.
Go for it.
I don't understand why couples are like this. First of all, I just want to say that right away. Uh, my fiance and I. Sorry, I keep bringing her up, but a lot of these have been couple related. We know there's certain jokes or certain areas of our past that we it's like a no go whatsoever with jokes. Or if it's something like that, it's like one little jab, like in a super playful mood, and there's nothing past that. Considering the wife knows that that's a sensitive topic and apparently repeatedly makes jabs at that, I don't like. It doesn't make sense. I will never understand stuff like this. And considering girl, the woman in question is a voice actor and just got like a big milestone after being bullied for so long, I think that's awesome. Like being bullied for your voice, but becoming a voice actor is a big like F you to all the bullies. It's like, I'm so good. They're paying me to talk.
Yeah.
But yeah, like saying that they should be a mime so no one has to listen to them. Like if there was no past like trauma with that or bullying, it's like, yeah, like I could definitely see that being a joke. That's fine, but like you're celebrating her and her voice acting achievements that she's worked really hard for. And then you're going the wife is going further and calling them immature. Like, no, you're not. I don't care. Usually I'd be like, well, yeah, it's kind of rude that it's an expensive restaurant, but due to being bullied for years about the way I used to speak, speaks volumes. Like, obviously, you've brought this up. Like, I don't blame you for walking out. Like, if someone said something like that to me, like in something that I got made fun of or whatever in the past, and you know it, and you repeatedly make jokes. Like if this was a one-off thing and you took this much offense to, then I'd say yes, you are. But this person is doing it on purpose, repeatedly. So no, you are not, and you have every right to feel that way and to leave them stranded at the restaurant. They can figure out their own way home.
Mm-hmm. An adult. You big enough to figure out how to get your own way home. And yeah, this is one of those things where there's a difference between like some good-natured ribbing of like, oh, you got that voice acting career, better make sure your voice doesn't crack in the studio. Like that's like a lighthearted joke in the spirit of like, hey, I care about you. I'm just giving you a bit of a hard time. Like I'm really happy for you, but especially when you say something along the lines of you should be a mime so they don't have to hear you talking anymore after landing such a big role as a voice actor. That's kind of one of those things where it's you need to make it known that it's like, hey, I understand that it's in the nature of a joke, but that kind of hurt. I worked hard to get to this point, especially after everything I've gone through to get to this. Like, that was kind of was a little harsh. So, no, I don't think this was an a-hole move in any way. Like you've gone out to eat plenty of times. Like you said, she can figure out her own way home. Obviously, they live somewhere where they probably have like taxis or Ubers or something
Yeah.
like that. And I'm sure if it came down to it, OP would not leave her wife stranded at the restaurant, like if there was no other way home. It's not like they went out to a restaurant in the middle of nowhere,
No.
getting served by like Eustace and Granny out there. Like, it's not they're not out in the middle of nowhere. So it's kind of like, you need to you need to learn how to like, hey, there's a line there, and I think you crossed over it, and now you need to make some amends for it. So no, I don't think there's an a-hole in this situation. No.
Yeah. Um. Yeah. I said my piece. I talked a lot about that on my feelings. Just don't don't do that. like I see it from time to time. It's like it's a sensitive topic. They're gonna be upset with you. Why? Why do it?
And once again, like I can kind of see like everybody, we all say things that we don't exactly mean in like the heat of the moment, out into dinner. Maybe the wife thought she was making a really funny joke here, but it's like, the second that you see that you went too far over that line, especially knowing the history behind it, you should have been like, I'm sorry. That's not how I meant it. Like, I'm happy for you. Like, I was just trying to make a joke. It was poorly worded. That's on me. I'm sorry. So, I think the wife who made the joke in this situation needs to kind of step back and just like understand that, sometimes just take an accountability and be like, I'm sorry, that was on me. And
Yeah.
as if you're willing to admit that you were incorrect and you will try to be better in the future, then I feel like this issue could have been avoided. But I think it's the idea that, well, it was just a joke. Well, okay, well, your joke didn't exactly land. You got to find the line between funny and mean, and unfortunately, you crossed that line. You didn't do very good. So, time to reel that one back in and cast again. That one didn't land. Didn't get a
And
bite with that one.
and stop trying to land that one because it hasn't worked at all, ever.
Yeah.
But with that, that kind of wraps it up. If you guys want us to do more Reddit readings, like we've done like two sentence two sentence horror and stuff like that. If there's any other Reddit threads you'd like us to look through, let us know. But thank you for BSing with us. Subscribe to become a bud today, and we will see you next time when we read other people's problems or something.
We'll see you next time in our wandering search to find the one true a-hole that's out there.
Yeah.
But until then, you just take her easy now.